Live, baby. Oh, look at a nice view. Such a beautiful day today. It's just a beautiful day at the park. Just walking around. About to do a live. Actually, I'm doing a live video right now. So I'm gonna wait a moment before I start. We're gonna do a little talking, a little walking. I think I might be doing more live videos when I get the time. I got a few spare moments right now, so I get some free time. I figure, why not talk to people? Share my knowledge. I have a lot of knowledge concerning the Bible and Jesus, Christianity, Judaism, religion, mythology, history, words, and all that stuff. Mathematics and science, son. I'm essentially a scientist, a theologian, okay, anthropologist, etymologist, okay, king cabinets, baby, king of thieves. It's like, no, seriously, I'm gonna talk about the Bible. I'm gonna get started sometime. Ain't nobody even watching this, that's okay. You guys will be able to watch it later. But where should I start? I'm gonna start by saying this. I'm just gonna talk about Jesus. Now, Jesus is wholesome and pure. Okay, Jesus teaches love, mercy, and compassion. I'll just come right out the gate with that. People don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear it. The Jews definitely don't want to hear it. All right. A lot of Christians, they don't want to hear it. A lot of Christians, they want to teach a vengeful, wrathful Jesus. And Jesus was not a vengeful person. He was not a violent person. There's like one account in the whole New Testament where Jesus got kind of violent and he whipped people with a whip. He went into the temple, turned the tables over, and was whipping them. Hey, they deserved to get whipped. They had it coming. They was swindling people. They was swindlers. So he cracked them with a whip. He didn't kill them though. See, that's the difference. Yahweh and Moses they would have continued the swindling. They were following after the tradition of the Old Testament. But, yeah, the punishment in the Old Testament was death. There's scriptures in the Old Testament, in Chronicles. It said, if there's any man, woman, or child, or anybody who does not follow after Yahweh, they shall be put to death. All right? Put them to death. So that's a punishment all through the Old Testament is death. Death, death, death. Okay, Moses was putting people to death. All right, Elijah was putting people to death. He put the priests of Baal to death. He murdered them. All right. But Jesus did not go around putting people to death. So that right there proves Jesus was not a Torah observant Jew. And let me talk about the Torah real quick. We need to stop using the word Torah. Now, the word Torah comes from a Hebrew word. I guess it's Hebrew. It means law. But this notion of calling, the first 5 books of Moses, the Pentateuch, calling that the Torah, that's a propaganda term. The word Torah is a propaganda term. They didn't even start saying it like that till recently. All right, so I ain't going to use the word Torah. I'll say the Pentateuch because it's not the Torah. Torah means law, so every time you call the first 5 books of Torah, you're calling it the law. And the law for who? The cavemen that sacrifice bulls and goats? Okay, so the Old Testament is not the Torah. We'll call it the Pentateuch, the first 5 books of Moses. So I'm trying to get away from using the word Torah. I hear myself, you're playing right into their hands when you use that word, actually. So I don't think I'm going to use that word anymore. But the Torah, what does the Torah say? The punishment for everything in the Torah is pretty much death. Pretty much death, burnt with fire, stoned with stones. But Jesus never killed no one. See, there's a law in the Torah, in the Old Testament. Say, I just did it. There's a law in the Pentateuch, and the laws, I call it the laws of Moses. The laws of Moses say, if you work on the Sabbath, you got to get put to death. That's what it says, bro. Now, Jesus worked on the Sabbath all the time. There's multiple cases. He works on the Sabbath. Every Sabbath, he's working. He's doing something. and he knows it's going to piss people off. People might say, well, Jesus was not technically working. He's in his reasonable limit. Well, back in the Moses days, they would just put him to death. There would have been no explaining, like, well, Moses, well, technically, I wasn't breaking it. Nope, stone him. Moses would have stoned Jesus to death. All right. Hey, let's look at the book of Matthew, guys. The book of Matthew has the three wise men, or not three wise men, the wise men, the magi. It says wise men in the King James. The King James Bible says wise men. The Greek text says the magi. All right, the magicians, like Simon Magus. Like Simon Magus. Oh, they try to say he was no good. But a Magus, that's a magician. So I know the story in Matthew was added later about the Magi visiting baby Jesus. The birth narrative was added later. Whatever, no matter what you think about it, Moses would have stoned those magicians to death. The Magi, they probably came from Persia. He would have stoned them all to death. He would have called them magicians. They was practicing sorcery. Yeah, they try to say Jesus was a sorcerer. Moses did put Jesus to death, because the Jews who had Jesus crucified, they're representatives of Moses, because they followed the same Moses tradition, and they had Jesus crucified according to the laws of Moses, and they were well within their right of doing so according to those laws. So you can't really blame them, because they were just following their whacked out cult religion. That's why when Jesus was on the cross, he prayed for the very Jews that had him crucified. He said, Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. You know, they were spitting on him, cursing him, doing every terrible thing you could think of to him. The highest form of blasphemy imaginable. And he said, Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. All right, so it was really the laws of Moses and the laws of Yahweh and the cult of Yahweh is what had Jesus crucified and murdered. The cult of Yahweh is responsible for that, because Judaism is just a cult of religious fanatics. That's all it is. It's an ancient caveman barbaric religion. It's nothing like the teachings of Jesus. The Old Testament teaches you to hate, to curse, and to destroy your enemies. That's just what it teaches. Deuteronomy, the 12th chapter. I made a video about this yesterday. Deuteronomy, the 12th chapter. It says, if anybody has a different religion than you, and if anyone worships a different God, you're supposed to destroy their temple, burn their temples with fire. Okay, burn their temples, smash their graven images, burn their groves, burn all their holy sacred relics, burn them all. That's what the Old Testament teaches. That's not what Jesus teaches. Jesus teaches you to bless those that curse you and to love your enemies. Now the Christians, well, they probably say their enemies are the Jews and the Hindus and the pagans. Well, you're supposed to bless and love them. You're not supposed to be wishing death upon people. Okay? You're not supposed to do stuff like that. That's against the teachings of Jesus. Like I said, the ultimate example, Jesus gave us the ultimate example when he was crucified. And he prayed for forgiveness for the people that crucified him. Now, how many of you guys could do that? A lot of you guys, you just wishing death on everybody, but here it is, Jesus was praying for the people that killed him. Crazy people. But you guys want to see people who hate Jesus die. That's not the thinking, and that's not the ways of Jesus. Wishing death upon people, putting curses on people in the name of God. That's the ways of the dark side. That's the ways of the Sith. All right? That's evil. That's darkness. All right, God is light. God is love. God is light. It says it. If you guys follow the Bible. Do you follow the Bible? 1 John 1 and 5 says God is light and no darkness at all. No darkness at all. You know, but I do see a lot of darkness in religious people, especially Christians. Very dark. I used to be very dark. I used to have some very dark teachings. I was with the Hebrew Israelites, and they were teaching darkness. All right, it's all good though, because I learned a lot from it, you know. But when you teach the Old Testament, and when you teach that Jesus is the God of the Old Testament, that's darkness. That's devil worshiping. Y'all trying to say Jesus is the devil. All right, Jesus is not the devil. Jesus does not smash babies. The God of the Old Testament commands that you smash babies. He said, happy shall he be that taketh and dasheth thy little ones against the stones. Little Edomite babies. Little Edomite babies. The Hebrew Israelites teach that. They'll say the Edomites are white people. The Hebrew Israelites, they say the Edomites are white people and you got to bash all their babies against the rocks. But they don't know that it was the Jews who actually made that teaching up. You can blame the Jews for that one. You can blame Yahweh, you can blame Moses. The Jews invented the teaching that white people are Edomites and they all must be genocided. And you got to smash all their babies. That's what Psalms 137 verse 9 is talking about, guys. If you're not familiar with Psalms 137 verse 9, go read it right now. And it's talking about the Edomites. And it says, happy shall he be that taketh and basheth the little Edomites against the stones. And who are the Edomites? The Edomites, according to Jews, I'm not saying this is true. According to Jews, Edomites are Europeans, Christians, white people. According to Jews, Jesus is an Edomite. They say Jesus is an Edomite. The Jews say that Christianity is the religion of Edom. All right, and then the black Hebrew Israelites copied them. Some other people might teach that, but the Jews made it all up. Just like the whole Old Testament was all made up by the Jews during the Hasmonean dynasties. All right, it's a government-made religion. The Old Testament was a religion created by the government. That's all it is, bro. The temple. This temple that you hold so dear in your heart was a government-built temple paid for by taxpayer dollars. Facts. Just like the Temple of Jupiter in Rome. Who do you think built that? Jupiter? The Roman government built it. Who do you think built the temple in Israel, in Jerusalem? The Jewish government? And I know governments are always holy and pure, right? They're always have your best interest at heart. Every government. Oh, it was different back then. The Jews back then, the guys who crucified Jesus, yeah, they had, so that their temple's holy. Makes sense out of that. But you guys are over here lusting and thirsting after a third temple. Oh, please give me another government-sanctioned religion and temple. Like, how dumb are you? You got, a lot of people don't put things into the proper perspective. You have no perspective. You can't even see. You blind. Okay? So I just wanted to do a little live stream while I'm walking. You know, it's so beautiful out today. It was freezing yesterday. Today is a nice, beautiful, sunshining day. That's what you get in the state of Ohio. Is unpredictability. Weather is very unpredictable. It's a very nice day. I could not waste this. So I was like, I really got to do a live stream. Talk about the love of Jesus, baby. All right. Yeah, because I'll be on X, bro. I'll be on the internet. I'll be on X, and I see all these Christians are going crazy. They're going wild on X. They acting like they about to go on a crusade. And they want to go kill and slaughter everybody. I don't think that's what you're supposed to be doing, though. Be quite honest with you. At the same time, though, I am pragmatic. So there's a time for everything. But you should always lead with love, baby. All right, lead with the love. That's how you got to do it. Love conquers all. That's so gay. The power of love. The power of love. Hey, the Bible says God is love. All right, God is love. That's right. God is not evil. God is not evil. Evil is ignorance. You gonna tell me God is ignorant? Nope. God creates ignorance. Ignorance doesn't even exist. Ignorance is when you do not know something. All right? That's something that doesn't exist because you lack knowledge. All right? People do evil things because they lack knowledge. If they knew, say, if the Jews knew that Jesus was the Son of God, they wouldn't never have killed him. They did it because they don't know any better. Why do people act like assholes every day? Why do people treat their fellow humans so badly still to this day? Obviously, they don't know any better. Perhaps they have defective genetics. Maybe that's part of it. But we don't know. I mean, maybe we lack knowledge in that department. Is there such thing as defective genetics? You gotta get the knowledge, do the studies, do the science, find out, figure it out. Okay? All problems can be solved through knowledge, right? So by my estimations, God is light and no darkness at all. Because darkness does not exist. Darkness is the absence of light. Scientifically speaking, there's no such thing as darkness. So God is light. Even according to physics, matter, you can create matter with light. How does that work? I don't know how that works, y'all. A lot of people, I think they claim they know how it works. I'm about to get up out of here before they start stream sniping me. We got ops out here, you know what I'm saying? So you gotta be careful. There be some weirdos out here too. I gotta watch it. What was I just saying? I don't know. Oh yeah. God is light, no darkness at all. God does not create evil because evil does not exist. Darkness does not exist. There's only light. All right, that's just facts. Light. Everything comes from light, right? So I'm about to get up out of here. I just wanted to give you guys a few words. You know, spread the love of Jesus. Tell everybody that the Jews, they're a bunch of tricksters. They're a bunch of no good tricksters. Spreading lies and propaganda everywhere to make everybody think Jesus was a Torah observant Jew. Ridiculous. Okay? But they done tricked dang near the whole world. Got everybody worshiping this guy named Yahweh. I was looking through Christian archaeology and artifacts. You know, if you look at the old Christian mosaics and different pieces of art and sculptures, whatever they got, bro, paintings, you can look as long as you want. You ain't never going to find the name Yahweh. I ain't never seen it. The only name I ever seen was Jesus and Theos. That's all I ever seen. I ain't never seen Yahweh's name in archaeology, not with no Christians. So Jesus ain't got nothing to do with no Yahweh, except for Yahweh's the devil. Yahweh's the devil that tempted Jesus in the wilderness. When Jesus was in the wilderness, the devil tempted him. He said, if you bow down and worship me, I'll give you all the kingdoms of the earth. You just got to bow down and worship me. That's what the devil tempted Jesus with. And when you read Deuteronomy 28:1, that's exactly the same thing Yahweh offered Moses. Yahweh told Moses, he took Moses' ass up to the top of the mountain and said, hey, Moses, you and the Israelites, if you bow down and worship me, I'm going to give you power over all nations in the earth. That's what Yahweh promised Moses. That's exactly the same thing the devil promised Jesus and tempted Jesus with. Because the world it belongs to Yahweh. According to the Old Testament, the world is not even the devil's to offer. So whoever offered the entire world to Jesus, obviously had ownership of the world, according to the story. It was his to give. I'll say it was his to give. So the God of this world, the one who was able to offer the world to you, offered it to Jesus, and Jesus declined. Because the Bible says, Christianity teaches, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. That's not what Judaism teaches. Judaism teaches this world is all there is. All right? Your reward will be riches and money and wealth. The land of milk and honey. is what Yahweh promises. Nothing but pure materialism. Yahweh promises you the land of milk and honey. That's Judaism, materialism. Jesus says, lay not your treasures upon earth, where thieves break through and steal. Lay up your treasures in heaven, where thieves do not break through and steal. You know the deal. Jesus said his kingdom is not of this world. His kingdom is not of this world. But Yahweh in Deuteronomy 28 is offering that very same world to Moses. Jesus rejected that offer. See, you guys really know the Bible? Everybody wants to be an expert. Everybody wants to sound intelligent. Okay, that's not how it works. You actually have to know what you're talking about for that to work. Then once you know what you're talking about, you start sounding a little more intelligent. Things start making more sense. You can't, That's like the one subject everybody thinks they can be an expert on. I used to be like that too. I learned a few scriptures, 20 years ago. I thought I was an expert. Hell no. I was dumber than a box of rocks. I know the truth now, okay? It's so obvious and so plain. All right, it really is time for me to go. We'll go over here and look at the amphitheater real quick. Nah, I ain't looking. I don't feel like walking over there, to be honest with you. I was about to. Now I'm about to leave. So, like I said, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. Oh, Romans, the 12th chapter. Be not conformed to this world. Be not conformed to this world. But Yahweh promises you the land of milk and honey. He promises you the whole world if you follow him. That's the reward for your loyalty in the Old Testament. All through the Old Testament, what is the reward that Yahweh offers the Israelites? What is their prize? To rule over all nations with a rod of iron. To put every nation in slavery. To be the top nation on earth. Jesus teaches first shall be last and last shall be first. Get it out of my face, it's rubbish. Okay. It's rubbish. 12 tribes of zodiacal. That's made up. Somebody made that up. Y'all ain't tricking me. Y'all get out here with this goofy stuff, man. Okay, don't get mad at me because I don't fall for your swindles and your tricks no more. Don't get mad at me because I say what I actually think and I don't hide stuff. A lot of you guys hide stuff deep down inside and you don't say what you really think. And you become less of a man when you do that.